Hi, I'm Craig. I'm not John Green, but I do have patches on my elbows so I seem smart. And this is Crash Course Government and Politics, a new show. Hooray! Why are fireworks legal or illegal? We might find out. Will we find out, Stan? Anyway, I have a question for you. Have you ever wondered where your tax dollars go, or why people complain about it so much? Or who pays for the highway that runs past your house? Or why you use the textbooks you use in science class? Or why you need a license to drive, or to hunt, or to fish, or to become a barber? I've always wanted to cut my own hair. Back when I had it. Have you ever wondered why you have to be 21 years old to drink alcohol, but only 18 to vote or gamble? Sometimes voting is a gamble. Actually, always. Do you get confused when you hear people on the news talk about Wall Street regulations, or Obamacare, or the national debt? Do you wonder why there are so few cell phone carriers and cable companies? How about why it's okay for student groups to lead prayers in schools, but not for the principal to do so? Have you ever wondered if there are any limits on when, where, and how the police can search your home, or your car, or your locker, or you, or your friend, or your grandma? Or your grandma's friend. And do you know why you can stand outside of a government office with a sign and a bullhorn complaining about military action that you think is unfair and the police can't stop you, but you can be fired from your job for doing the exact same thing? Have you ever been sued or fined? Ever wonder what the difference is between being sued or being fined? Have you ever wondered why our government does the things it does and doesn't do other things? Have you ever wondered what it would be like if we had no government at all? That would be anarchy. Can we play the Sex Pistols, Stan? That's probably illegal. Why is it illegal? And probably most important, have you ever thought about how you can change the things that seem unjust or unfair or that you just don't like? Okay, so that was more than one question, and obviously there isn't a single answer to all of those questions, except that, in a way, there is. The study of government and politics. And that's what we're going to talk about today, and this whole series, Crash Course Government and Politics. Aptly titled. So let's start by doing what human beings do when confronted with complicated questions they can't answer. We'll answer a simpler one. In this case, what are government and politics, and why do I need to learn about them? Government is a set of rules and institutions people set up so that they can function together as a unified society. Sometimes we call this a state, or a nation, or a country, or Guam, and I'll use these terms somewhat interchangeably, except for Guam. That might be a little confusing. So, we study government in order to become better citizens. Studying government enables us to participate in an informed way. Anyone can participate, but doing so intelligently following politics is a lot like following sports in that there's a winner and a loser, and people spend a lot of time predicting who will win and analyzing why the winner won and the loser lost. The outcome of an election might affect your life more than the outcome of a sports game, though, unless you're gambling. which might be illegal. Government is really important. Everyone born in America is automatically a citizen, and many people choose to become citizens every year so that they can have a say in the government. The USA is a republic, which means that we elect representatives to govern us, and a democracy, which means that citizens are allowed to participate. This ability to participate is something we take for granted, but we shouldn't. History tells us that citizen participation is the exception rather than the rule. But we're not going to look at history. Who has time? That's what history courses are for with that other guy. So one way people can participate in government is through voting, and many people will tell you that that's pretty much the only way we can participate in government or politics. But they're wrong, and I love pointing out when people are wrong. Let's go to the thought bubble. Sure, when you mark a ballot, you are participating in the political process, but there are so many other things you can do to be an active citizen. You can contact your representatives and tell them what you think about a political issue. People used to do this by writing letters or sending telegrams, but now they tend to call or send email. Although there's nothing like a good old-fashioned angry letter. People can work for campaigns or raise money or give money. They can display yard signs or bumper stickers. They can canvass likely voters, try to convince them to vote, or even drive them to the polls on election day. You participate in politics when you answer a public opinion poll, or when you write a letter to the editor or comment on an online article. You participate in politics when you blog or tumble, or make a YouTube video or tweet. I guess even YouTube comments count. First, ever been to a march or a rally, or held a sign, or worn a t-shirt with a slogan on it, or discussed an upcoming election at the dinner table and tried to convince your parents who to vote for? You've participated in the political process. And if you've actually run for office, you've participated, even if you didn't win. And if you did win, congratulations! Now get back to work. You should already know this. But probably the most important thing you can do to participate in government and politics is both the easiest and the most challenging. Become more educated. Anyone can be a citizen, but to be a good citizen requires an understanding of how the government works and how we can participate. It requires knowledge and effort, and we have to do it because otherwise we end up being led rather than being leaders. We learn about politics because knowledge is our best defense against unscrupulous people who use our ignorance to get us to do the things that they want rather than what we think should be done. Thanks, Thought Bubble. That was my first Thought Bubble narration. Hooray! You guys are fun. This is fun. So that's where we come in. Over the course of this series, we will be looking in depth at American government and politics. We'll be talking about stuff like the structure and function of the branches of government, the division of power between the national government and the state governments, what political parties are, what they do, and how they are different from interest groups. We'll examine the role the media plays in government and politics, how the legal system and the courts work, and how they protect civil rights and civil liberties. We'll look at political ideologies, what it means to say you're a liberal or a conservative or a libertarian or a socialist or an anarchist. Okay, we probably won't talk about anarchy because that's sort of the rejection of government. Again, Sex Pistols? Can't. It's a copyright issue. I'll take care of it. Anarchy! Woo! I've been known to do that from time to time. We'll try to understand the forces that are shaping American government and politics today, and we'll work towards becoming more involved and developing our knowledge so that we make our government more responsive and our politics more inclusive. By the end of the series, and actually before the end, you will understand how our government works and how you can make it work better for you and your community. Not only will you be able to answer most of the questions I started this episode with, but you will become, if you pay attention and think for yourself, a more engaged and active citizen. And you might have a beard if you don't shave. Next week, we'll talk about Congress, how it works, and what it does when it does anything. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. And that's my first Crash Course episode. Are we out of poppers, Stan? Wait, I'll just throw them. Woo! Woo! Bang! Woo! Bang! Bang! Woo! Crash Course Government and Politics is produced in association with PBS Digital Studios. Support for Crash Course U.S. Government comes from Vocal. Vocal supports nonprofits that use technology and media to advance social equity. Learn more about their mission and initiatives at vocal.org. Crash Course was made by all these nice people. Thanks for watching. Can we call it Craig Course, Stan? No? Crash Course Craig? Mm-mm.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Whitfield. I'm the Democratic candidate running for United States Senate to unseat and replace Senator John Bozeman here in Arkansas. And I do a weekly live stream Q&A and update, and I am now using Haps to do so, which allows me to stream in 5 different locations at the same time. So if you have any questions throughout this broadcast, I'll be checking Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all the different media sources we're using, and I'll just go ahead and get started. So I have decided sometimes if there's something relevant going on in our country, I will play a video. But while nothing really relevant is showing up on national radar or here in our state, I want to go ahead and start playing Crash Course Politics videos for everybody to watch. Hopefully, by this time next year, we'll have finished a series and you will know a lot more about how our government works and what you can do as an American citizen to help shape your government into something that you want it to be, that's going to fight for you and your family. So let's go ahead and get started. I have a few different things I'm going to talk about this evening. The first thing I wanted to talk about is number one. Let me lower my mic volume down a little bit. Can you all hear me all right? I know I was having a little bit of static in the video, so I was trying to fix it, and unfortunately it didn't fix, but hopefully there's no static here in my microphone. Can I get a comment on that real quick anywhere? Does it sound all right? All right. Well, I'm just going to go ahead with yes, it does. So the first thing I want to talk about is COVID-19, of course. It's still something that's around. It's something we need to take very seriously. So let me go ahead and throw up a couple different graphs up here. So the first thing is right now we are here in Arkansas on Schedule 1C, where most people are eligible, but there's still a very large percent of our population that is not, including disabled people who are just under 60 who don't quite qualify for it. So what I really want to focus on here are the numbers. So right now, we have 329,860 total COVID-19 cases here in Arkansas to date. We're at 5,590 deaths. That is a lot of Arkansans who have lost their lives. So please make sure you do continue to wear a mask, socially distance, wash your hands, do your part to keep yourself, your family, and those around you safe. Even once you're vaccinated, people around you may not be. Just because you have a vaccination does not mean you are immune to the virus. It just means when you catch it, the symptoms are a lot less likely, significantly less likely to actually result in a fatality. But you still catch the virus and you can still spread the virus. So please make sure you are continuing to do those things to keep yourself and those around you safe. We are currently here in Arkansas. We have had 1,082,207 people vaccinated. That is about a third of our population has already been vaccinated, which is amazing. We're getting there. I know they're working really hard. Governor Asa Hutchinson recently allowed the National Guard to come in and start doing vaccinations as well. But there's also an issue that I see. I'm so sorry about my hair. It's getting really long. I've got my COVID hair. I actually got my first dose of the vaccine last Tuesday on the 23rd. I'll be getting my second dose on April 15th. And then the first thing I'm going to do 2 weeks after that is get a haircut. It is time. But the problem herein lies that we have received 1,922,880 doses of the vaccine, which means we have 840,000 plus doses standing by. And I think right now that means we are at a really good point where we should, as a state, specifically for Arkansas with our population, the amount vaccinated, the amount of doses on hand, I think it's time to start opening up vaccinations to everybody willing to take one or wanting to take one. I know a lot of people here in Arkansas don't believe in COVID-19. A lot of people think it's a Democratic hoax. A lot of people don't want to wear masks because they believe it's against their constitutional rights, even though technically it is in the social contract that we agree to upon being American citizens. So I think right now with those 840,000 doses on hand, we would be able to probably vaccinate everybody who wanted one. And by the amount of time it took to actually get that done, we would have more doses in and enough to get everyone vaccinated. So Asa Hutchinson, I'm talking to you. It's time to open it up to everybody. All right. And on that note, real quick, there is a vaccine hotline to schedule an appointment. So if you are on the 1C phase and you do qualify to get a vaccine currently, then call 1-800-985-6030, and you can actually use this hotline to schedule your appointment, especially if you're trying to figure out where am I going to get my vaccine. They will help you get set. They will help you get vaccinated and give you all the information you need. And one more time, that phone number is 1-800-985-6030. So call the COVID vaccine hotline if you are eligible and you need to get it scheduled. All right. So let me go ahead and move away from COVID-19. let me check some of this stuff in here. I'll try to keep it short, Arky. I know the game is about to start here soon. We've got crazy severe weather going across a lot of central Arkansas, tornado warnings. So make sure y'all are staying safe and enjoy that game. Hopefully, we'll get a nice pig win and get the Hogs rolling. Oh, man, we deserve it. It's been a while. We deserve it. All right. Let's see here. The sound is too deep. Okay. I will go ahead and audio is off. I'll work on that. I'll go ahead and I'll get these HAPS audio issues figured out later this evening after live stream, but I will continue on for now. So let me actually click here real quick and click here. And I'm going to click one thing. It's going to make my screen go blank for about 5 seconds. All right. So I should be back. Hopefully, y'all can hear me a little bit better now. All right. Moving on. Of course, we do need to keep looking at important things that are going on around the country, especially after that terrorist just racially profiled and targeted Asian Americans. We have had something, of course, terrible happen here in Arkansas as well. We had a firefighter captain. His name is Benjamin Snodgrass. I believe he's out of Bentonville. He was recently let go for being drunk and disorderly and telling an Asian American, basically harassing an Asian American and telling him that he was doing it for not being American. He was charged with a misdemeanor and it was being investigated. I believe since then he has been let go. But the point of this is it doesn't matter the color of our skin. It doesn't matter the dialect of the language we use or our accents. We are all Americans. We are all people. We're all stardust. We're all made from the same stuff. So stop being hateful. Make sure if you see something like that going on, protect anybody you can if possible in a safe manner. Don't let men like this or women go ahead and berate people for the color of their skin, their ethnicity, their sex, their sexual orientation, their identification, anything like that. We can't have any kind of hateful rhetoric like that coming out of Arkansas, going on to the national scale, just making us look bad. All right. I did my my second legislative recap last night, and it went a lot smoother because I had spent several hours before the recap going through and highlighting important bills, and we went over those highlights. And I think it went really well. We talked about a lot of different pieces of legislation going around. I'm going to talk about just a few bills today in case anyone had missed that recap last night. So let's get through this real quick, like 5 minutes or less. We have SB Senate Bill 289, which will allow doctors to discriminate healthcare services based on whatever moral or ethical or religious beliefs they so choose, which means a doctor can now turn someone away for, say, being gay if they don't agree with people being gay. They can turn someone away for the color of their skin. They can turn someone away, say, if it's a Christian doctor and a Muslim patient, because they don't believe in the Muslim religion. If it's a transgender child, whatever reason it is, doctors can now discriminate in the state of Arkansas, which is another shame brought upon us here in Arkansas from the GOP state legislators. Let's see, moving right along, Senate Bill 388. What this does is it solidifies the anti-abortion laws that are going to be taking place here in Arkansas, which SB 388 actually has in writing on it that a healthcare provider cannot perform an abortion unless the mother's life is threatened. So not if the mother is a victim of a sexual assault or rape, not if it is the mother is carrying a child from incest, or if it is a young child who has been gotten pregnant for whatever reason. None of those reasons are eligible for abortion because of laws like this, SB 388, only if it threatens the mother's life. All right, which actually brings me down real quick into subtitle SB 85, which will require a woman to look at the ultrasound of the fetus before an abortion is performed, which is absolutely terrible. It's disgusting. You should not make a woman going through one of the most traumatic experiences of her life amplify that trauma just exponentially, make her look at an ultrasound. It is just insane. And again, that's even after they passed a piece of legislation a week or two ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now, that actually requires a woman before trying to get an abortion to call an anti-abortion religious hotline for them to talk her out of it. So all these crazy things going on. Again, these are all really important things. I'm not trying to undervalue them by moving through them real quickly. That's what our legislative recap Friday night, 8 p.m. Central live streams are for. We have Senate Bill 354. Senate Bill 354, one of the most terrible pieces of legislation written by Arkansas legislators, which will ban transgender children from participating in school sports. It is discriminating against children. And when this bill was actually in the House, brought to be voted on, a state legislator from here in Arkansas, her first name's Mary, she called these transgender children abominations. She called children abominations, which is an abomination of itself. I can't believe things like this are happening. It seems like we are just living in the twilight zone. We have House Bill 1570, which will prevent healthcare providers from helping a child go through the process of finding their sexual identity. And it's just crazy because in this bill, it clearly states that the reason that they don't want doctors helping children with transgender rights is because they'll grow out of it. Are you kidding me? They just have no idea. And this is what happens when you have a bunch of special interests electing politicians for ideological thoughts rather than the people electing politicians for having empathy, for understanding, and just even knowing what it's like to be, say, a working class regular American. Those are some of the terrible bills that our legislators have been working on these last couple weeks. So I want to move into some of the better bills real quick. I'm just going to talk about 3 real fast. These are good bills that have actually been submitted that I'm proud of and that I hope we can get to pass and enacted into law. So the first one is HB House Bill 1563, which gives tenants rights. A lot of people don't know Arkansas is the only state in America where tenants don't have rights. So this is an amazing bill. It's going to require landlords to make sure that the dwelling they're renting has running water, that it has air conditioning, heating, that the roof is keeping weather out, that there is no infectious molds, that there are no vermin, roaches, or rats on premise. You would think like, oh, well, of course, that's common sense stuff. Well, unfortunately, Arkansas is the only state where that kind of common sense stuff it's not a right to the people. But this bill will, and it's bipartisan, so I'm really hoping this will pass. Another thing that this bill does that's extremely important is it allows for a civil eviction process. Currently, Arkansas is the only state where an eviction is a criminal process, meaning if you don't pay your rent because your landlord doesn't have to fix your heater and it's negative 20 out and your apartment's 20 degrees and you're wearing blankets and you're like, well, screw this guy. I'm not going to pay my rent this month because it's 20 degrees in here. Well, unfortunately, in Arkansas, you can go to jail for that. It is a criminal offense. So in this bill, they're also adding civil eviction civil eviction process, which is really, really good. Again, we are way behind. I'm glad this bill is finally here. It should have been here 20 years ago, but here it is. So let's run with it. All right. Another really good one is House Bill 1709, which will require pharmacies to sell insulin at wholesale prices. I mean, again, that's just amazing. That's the way it should be. People shouldn't be having to work a second job just to pay for insulin. People shouldn't have to be worried about paying 10 times as much for insulin here in the US as, say, Canada is paying for insulin when the insulin is created in these same exact manufacturing factories. So that's another really good bill. That's House Bill 1709. And the last one that I'll mention real quick is House Bill 1617, which will require law enforcement personnel to submit a behavioral health and mental counseling as a prerequisite for employment, which is amazing. Our police officers, that's a really big part of my policy is law enforcement reform. I'm not talking about defunding the police or anything like that, but I'm talking about law enforcement accountability, having higher salaries, having higher education requirements, having better training. And this is awesome. Another thing that this bill will do is it will require law enforcement to submit these two tests every 5 years. And on top of that, if they're involved in an investigation that led into a death or physical violence against a child, then they will also be submitted to counseling. So these are really good bills, these three here on top of the multitude of terrible bills. So I guess we got to take what we can. We also had passed HCR 1015, which will extend our legislative session by an additional 60 days. That was signed by Governor Asa Hutchinson. I believe it was on the 22nd or 23rd. So our legislative body, normally on April 30th, they stop session and they no longer submit bills, but they will have an additional 60 days to submit more bills with the supermajority's help. Things such as the Stand Your Ground, the abortion bans, discriminating against children, all these different things. They will have 2 more months to do that. So I will make sure I'm still watching what they're doing. I will do my weekly legislative recap live streams every Friday evening at 8 p.m. Central to kind of give you guys a heads up on what to keep an eye on and what's going on in our state legislative body. All right, so through all that stuff, again, I'm going to try to make this quick so we can get to the game. If you have any questions at all about me, why I'm running, who I am, what my favorite color is, my favorite food, I don't care, what my policies are, which are, of course, most important. My website is right there, danforarkansas.com. You can click the policy tab and you can see right there what all of my policy stances are. And I made it really easy so you can click videos. I've used video clips from prior live streams and things like that. So make sure you do check that out if you have questions. And if you don't want to, ask me right now and I'll answer for you live. All right, so that's pretty much my updates. We are still waiting for the opinion from our 2020 ballot access hearing. They had our hearing back on the 18th. They haven't given an opinion yet, so it's taken them more than a week when some of the other things they had the opinion immediately after. So I think it's a good thing. They're probably going to rule in our favor one way or another. So I'll make sure I continue checking on that, and as soon as I have an update, I will let you all know. Let's see. This last week, I went to a few different county Democratic Party meetings. We did the Craighead County Democratic meeting. Wow, I can't believe how organized they are. They're such a great group of people, and I'm really hoping that we can connect Craighead County with some other counties that help these other counties who are less organized get as organized as Craighead. They are amazing. I snuck into the end of the Washington County Women Democratic meeting because, of course, it was at the same time as Craighead Democratic meeting. I think Joyce Elliott was there and had a few words to say. Really great meetings. Oh man, Democrats are just such wonderful people. I'm so lucky to be part of the Democratic Party. I attended the Arkansas Democratic Black Caucus meeting this morning. They had some really amazing speaker and had really good information on voter registration. Their speaker was, I believe she's from Georgia, and really helped explain to people how to organize properly. So I've got her email. I'm probably going to reach out to her and see what I can do to help organize here the same way that they were organizing in Georgia to make sure that we can flip Arkansas blue in 2022 the same way they flipped Georgia blue in 2020. So I guess that kind of brings me down to wrap up. Like I said, this is going to be a short one because severe weather throughout our state, and also the game is coming out. Let me go ahead and read real quickly through if there's any comments on here. Yes, Patty, she's a disabled rights activist. She's amazing. Oh my gosh. Let's see, just reading through on Facebook right now. And thank you, Joanne. I mean, your continued support has just been so amazing for the last several years. I wish we had more people here in Arkansas to be such an active activist. Oh, odd word. Thank you so much for all the work you do. Let's see. Oh, there you are on Twitter, Mr. R. Yeah, almost done. Not going to make you miss the game, I promise. Adam says, so ready for change in Arkansas. As a student doctor here, I can't wait to have a representative. Oh, well, thank you, Adam. Man, that's exactly it. I just care. I want change. We've really got to have some change if we're going to start making this a positive state for us to grow our children in. All right, so let me finish up with a couple of important things, such as fundraising. Fundraising is extremely important. You've seen the competition I'm up against. I'm up against Senator John Boozman. He takes just huge amounts of special interest money. He has a very large war chest, and he's still getting a lot of donations from ideological groups, from conservative groups, from the Republican Party, and other special interests. And then, of course, we have Jan Morgan in the race, who is a nationally known gun rights activist, nationally known racist and xenophobic. The woman has a Kaepernick jersey as a doormat in her place of business. She has Muslim free zones signs in her place of business, and she gets a lot of money from racists and bigots and hateful people. So we need to start fundraising. You can donate at danforarkansas.com through my donor box, or if you go to actblue.com, you can find Dan Whitfield underneath ActBlue as well. Whatever method you prefer is extremely helpful. I greatly appreciate it. I'll make sure that every single penny donated to my campaign is spent in the most efficient possible ways. That's why I'm doing a lot of things online. That's why a lot of my campaign is going to be driving around the state, going face to face, talking to people, rather than spending millions and millions of dollars on TV advertisements and things like that just before the election, because that's what these politicians do. And that's not what I am. I'm not a politician. I'm a working class guy ready to enact some change. So if you can donate, thank you so much. Even $1, $5, whatever you can. If you're able to, feel free to set up a weekly donation or a monthly or even bi-monthly, annually, whatever you can. We greatly appreciate all your help. And this is how we're going to get change, is when we network together, we organize, we help each other, and just think of your donation as an investment in your future. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was volunteering. So I still have about 85 volunteers on hand, standing by, ready to go, but we are still waiting for COVID to slow down a little bit. We're starting to get there. I think we only had 165 new cases today here in Arkansas. So we're getting there. And as people become vaccinated, we'll be able to start doing events. We'll be able to start going door to door, doing our door knocking. We'll be able to just go out into the public and start campaigning real hard. We're not going to wait until next year to do that. We're going to start doing it immediately. I have my second dose on April 15th. So starting May 1st, that's when I'm really going to start traveling. So if you would like to volunteer for our campaign, get rid of the GOP Senator John Boozman, and help make sure that Jan Morgan, who has no place in a public office, never gets the chance to serve in the Senate, help us out by volunteering. We need your help. It's so easy to volunteer. If you don't have a lot of time or you're stuck at home, you're immobile, that's no problem. Volunteering is very simple. A volunteer could be someone who simply just spends some time on their computer and finds out, oh, in this county, they have this fair this day. I'm going to share it to our Slack group. Oh, in this county, they have this event on this day. I'm going to share it to our Slack group. Or this person reached out to me and wants to have you come for a meet and greet at their home with some of their friends. Can you be here on this day? Very easy to volunteer. It doesn't take much. We will do whatever you feel comfortable in. If you don't feel comfortable making phone calls, you're not going to have to make phone calls. If you don't feel comfortable going door to door, you're not going to have to go door to door. Now, if you like doing those things, by all means, we will let you run with the wind, go for it. We can take all the help that we can get. So if you would like to volunteer, go ahead and send me a message on social media. You send me an email, send me a text message, give me a phone call, danforarkansas.com. You have all of my social media links on there. If you click the contact tab, it gives you my email, my phone number. Just reach out to me. I handle all my own stuff, and I will get you an invite to our Slack group. Now, our Slack group is mostly inactive right now because we're still waiting until I can get out there and start campaigning. But we need people to start getting in there and getting ready. So if you guys can help, thank you so much. It is so greatly appreciated. We need your help because we are going to mobilize. We're getting networked right now, and we will, with your help, flip Arkansas blue in 2022. All right, let me read a couple more of these comments. It's 6:29. It is going to be a short one. We got a big game coming on. Let's see, looking through. Thank you so much, Janie, for posting my link. It is danforarkansas.com. Oh man, so many wonderful comments on all these different platforms. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I really believe we can flip this state. We just need to have good people run. And with the Democratic Party of Arkansas removing filing fees if you're running against an incumbent Republican, wow. Just get ready. Think about running. Talk to your kids about running. Talk to your friends. Talk to your family. And starting May, I'm going to start traveling and I will come out. I'll meet with you and I will give you any advice I can and help you get going. So, oh, awesome, Susan. All right. I just pulled up a thing. I will send you a message and a link to our Slack group. Thank you so much. But awesome. Well, you guys have a wonderful evening. I appreciate your time. I know this is like half the length or even less than most of my live streams. But again, if you have any questions, I'm always here. Just send me a message. I handle all my own social media. And if you want to ask me live, I will, of course, be here next Saturday, 6 p.m. Central, to do the same. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm humbled. I'm honored to have your wonderful support. You guys have a wonderful evening. May God bless you all. Stay safe, and may God bless America.